What is even the point of meditation? Answer me this. No, seriously. Answer the question. What is the point of meditation? You see, most people get this all wrong. All wrong. Because meditation has become a tool for self-improvement. It's not that meditation can't improve your life. It does. But that is not the root of why meditation is so powerful. It is it's exactly the same as what we've done to yoga. Before we even knew what we had, we've commercialized it, we've put it in a box, slapped a label on it, and now they're selling it to you, and you just eat it all up. But soon I shall show you how to meditate properly. I will show you the way of the gods, not this superficial nonsense. You shall see. There are many benefits to meditation. Before we understand the benefits, we should probably figure out what meditation is in the first place. You see, the mind is a pointed object, so the purpose of meditation is to make the mind more pointy. What does this mean? It means that we learn to use our minds the way it was intended, to have complete control over our focus and attention, so that we can direct the flow of energy and be the creators that we were intended to be. The mind directs the flow of energy that is the life force of existence. And so whatever we focus our attention on, that is what we create, that is what we manifest into reality. We are the source of creation of all our experiences. So the reason that most people aren't successful in life is because their mind is scattered and not focused. When you have no control over your mind, your attention gets pulled all over the place by thoughts and emotions and experiences. Another important thing is that wherever we focus our mind, that is what we become one with. The mind likes to attach to things. So when our attention identifies and attaches itself to a story, we become one with that story. So too, with a thought or with an emotion, if I feel angry, I say, I am angry. I identify and become one with that emotion. But this is where meditation comes in, because the mind is like a sword. It can slice things, and it can cut away these attachments, or it can become attached. So the mind is either your best friend or it's your worst enemy. Meditation is the act and the process of making it your best friend. But the self-improvement people won't tell you this. They'll say, water, Sandy, I need water. As I was saying. I guess I'm not done. But the truth is that the mind is like the governor for our whole experience in life. Wherever the mind is focused, that is where we will give life to. And so it is often that we do not believe the truth, but things become true because we believe them. We believe things into existence because through our belief, it has our attention, it has our interest, therefore it has the focus of our mind. And consciousness or energy is then sent in that direction because it is the force of creation, it is given existence. And because people are so distracted nowadays, they don't focus their energy long enough to create anything. That is why when you go from one thing to another, and you quit and you give up and you try something new and you're just chasing the dopamine, you just run around in a circle your whole life. That's not good. So through meditation, we will not only learn how to focus our mind, but we will learn how to focus it in the right direction. Which leads me to the root, the core essence of meditation and why it is so important. Not for the superficial means of making our lives better, but for realizing the true and perfect essence that is already here. Because the mind is a pointed tool. When instead of being directed outward into the world, we direct it in through the presence of consciousness and, you might say, into the third eye, the gateway to the ocean of bliss, the absolute, the kingdom of heaven. When your mind is powerful enough to stay focused, you eventually gain the ability to break through and allow in a great flood of consciousness into yourself, that force of creation, that life force. And you are able to allow that force of creation, that is God, to run your life for you rather than trying to figure out everything for yourself and carry all the burdens that most people do. The mind and meditation is good for cutting away all that which blocks the light. The mind also creates separation and blocks the light out. The mind is neither good nor bad, it's how you use it. That experience in which the third eye becomes open through concentration and focus on that right there and within, that is called samadhi. And if one can connect to God, to consciousness, to the eternal within, through that focused attention, then naturally joy, peace, love, and happiness will arise. It is your default state, but the mind is also the culprit of blocking that out, of keeping us from these things that we spend our whole lives trying to find. So we want to use the mind to chop away all the things that are keeping us from what we truly desire. And we do this by focusing our attention on God in a one-pointed fashion. Now, you might have to go through some spiritual teachings and discover the knowledge for yourself. But the way I look at the world, for instance, is that there is only God. There is nothing else. Everything that exists is God in form, and everything that does not exist is God in the unmanifested formless state. So when we have an experience that irritates us or triggers, that is God. When we deal with those difficult people, that is God. God is the anger. God is the angry. God is that which angered us. The more we meditate upon God, the more God takes care of us. The more we lose the fear and the worry and the doubt and the guilt and the shame, the easier it is for us to surrender and be at ease. Meditation is also the act of reflecting upon. So the quality of your meditation is determined by what you focus on. And so by focusing on God, by focusing our attention there, we slowly but surely become one with the Absolute. Now, we'll always be in this human form, but we allow ourselves to have our highest potential actualized in this life. Whereas most people are kind of running around trying to figure out what to do, and by the time they figure anything out, they're dead. And so now that we have a bit of a broad scope of things, let us descend down into the practical level and see how we can practice this in our daily lives. And so what many people get wrong is that because many people use meditation as a tool for self-improvement, they don't ever come to realize that it is actually a lifestyle. Meditation is not necessarily just something you do every morning before you start your day. It can be. It can be time to go deeper within. But meditation can happen anywhere, at any time. So don't think that you just have to go and sit down alone in silence in order to meditate. It doesn't matter where you are, because meditation is fundamentally the act of returning to the present moment, of focusing our attention on the here and now. Because in this eternal present moment, that is where life is happening. And life is the force of creation. It is that consciousness. It is God. And so when we connect through the present moment into our inner energy field, that is connected all the way to the source of the Absolute, the dominion of God, let's say. And so in a way, we kind of like travel back home. And by doing this, we gain protection from the experiences of the world. The deeper you dive into it, the less experiences have an effect over you. The more inner peace, inner contentment, joy, love will naturally and spontaneously arise within you. You won't have to try so hard to make life happen because life is already happening without you. It doesn't need your help. So through meditation on God, now we're talking within, we begin dissolving all the imperfections and continuously allow more and more pure light to shine through us. The spiritual masters of the world took this to its fullest extent. Whether you're talking about Jesus or Buddha or Ramakrishna or Ramana Maharshi, all the saints and all the masters have done the same exact thing. And that is, they have meditated on God to the point in which the ego dissolves, the sense of individual self. We become more and more empty of nonsense beliefs and ideas and perceptions, ways of looking at the world, strong attachments and identities. All of these things cover up the light of God. They are like noise that covers up the silence. The silence is always there. The deep stillness is always there. The joy, the peace, the love, it's all there right now. You are already free. But the karmic momentum or our attachments to these patterns, these thought forms, the stories in our head, they're a bit sticky, so we try to escape them, but we keep getting pulled back into them. And this keeps us on the roller coaster of life, of struggle, of distraction, of suffering. Meditation has the power to cut away all of this. Cut away all that is not you, that you believe is you, but is not really you. For me, meditation is not for self-improvement, it's for self-destruction. It is to dissolve the ego, it is to dissolve the personality into the light, into the fire of God. To burn away everything, to become completely empty. Now, most people aren't ready for such a thing. Sometimes it takes extreme desperation, extreme suffering to push someone toward that kind of way of thinking. So you don't need to be concerned about such a thing if that does not resonate with you. But the pathway forward toward all of these great things comes by taking control of your attention. And that practice is through meditation. Find a place where you can do the typical kind of meditation. And we want to practice what is called non-attached awareness, or just observing. Because when we observe a thought, we intuitively understand that we are separate from that thought. If we feel an emotion and observe it, we know that we are separate from that emotion. And so in this present moment now, there is an unchanging awareness that is you, in which all experiences rise and fall. But the reason that people are caught in illusion and in suffering is that we attach our consciousness, this awareness, to the objects of change. And because things that change die, they oscillate, they come and they go, we have the feeling that we come and go. We have the feeling that we will die. And so the essence of meditation is about taking our identity away from the changing and becoming one with the unchanging that we already are. When we meditate, we create separation from the objects of our experience. And we no longer get caught in impulsive reactions. We no longer become one with thoughts, experiences, or emotions, because we no longer attach our identification with the temporary, with the changing. Experiences, thoughts, and emotions are happening. They're not happening to us. But because we identify with that which they are happening to, the body or the mind, then we experience them as happening to us because we are one with them. We are one with those experiences. And so when we sit alone and observe all that arises, all that comes and goes, all that is changing, we begin to see that that is not us. And naturally we gain the power of non-reaction. This practice is more simple than simple because it doesn't require you to do anything, but the mind will make it into a challenge. So when you're sitting alone, you might be thinking, well, what do I have to do? I should be doing something. I have to stop my thoughts. I have to connect to the present moment. I have to focus my attention on God. I have to do this, that. You don't have to do any of that. How can it take any effort to be as you are? How can it take any effort to be here now? How can you do anything? How can you become one with consciousness, with awareness, that which you already are? Meditation is an act of removal. It is removing the illusion that we all have veiled over our eyes. Because right here, right now, if you were to sit by yourself and close your eyes and just observe what is arising in your experience, see if you can find your personal identity. See if you can find who you believe yourself to be. Where is it? When you close your eyes and see, do you see yourself as a man or a woman? As a human being? We only attach our identity to these things when we open our eyes and look around, and we judge ourselves against one another. We contrast ourselves with our experiences, with the outer world, with other people. So you want to sit alone and see what is true, what is here now, what is not a figment of our imagination, what is not a construct, what is true. And I'll guide you to that. What you will find is that there is that inner presence, that inner spaciousness that exists within all beings. It is the same within all of us. It is eternal and it is unchanging. It is always here, now, in the present moment. It is the radiance of consciousness. It is our energy field. And this energy is connected to the source. And so the more we take our attention and focus it on this presence, the more the imperfections begin dissolving and we become one with our true nature. But you see, this is not as easy or as nice as it sounds. Because within you, within all of us, we have a whole bunch of stored information, which you might call karma. And when we begin unraveling this karma has to be exhausted, it has to be experienced and burned away. So the more we continue to align with our true nature as consciousness, as pure presence, things will start happening in the external world, in our experience, to trigger us because our attachments are rising up from underneath the surface, from the darkness. And so we have our particular practice of just meditating, focusing on the present moment, going deeper when we're just alone, probably best in the morning or at night. Then we have the meditation during the day when we are focusing on our presence, on the present moment. We have the meditating on God, realizing that all experiences are happening for our highest evolution. When God is right beside you, you don't have all of this illusion about what is happening. You and God are exploring the situations, the experiences together. You are in a process, a journey of self-discovery. And through this journey, things will arise to trigger you to death. And so the whole game is to continuously not get triggered, to remove your identity and your attachments from that which triggers you. Because being triggered by definition means that you are attached. You have an identity somewhere that is causing extremely negative emotions to arise, negative thoughts to arise. And the more we reaffirm these emotions and thoughts, the more we create a story and identity out of it, the more our outer reality continues to shape itself around our inner reality. And so as we go through life, things will continue to trigger us, and we will use these experiences as opportunities for reflection and self-discovery, to learn about where we are attached and where we can let go of certain identities. and we meditate deeper and deeper into the present moment, become more one with God. Not because we are separated from God, but because we have so many attachments that keep the light from shining forth. I like to say, there really is no such thing as enlightenment, because you were already born enlightened. You just become endarkened through the conditioning, through the attachments, through the trauma. And so life is essentially a game of forgetting your true nature, suffering a whole bunch, and through that suffering, you return to realize once again your true nature. You forget so that you can rejoice in remembering. You get lost so you can enjoy the experience of being found. We suffer so that we can relish in the peace of liberation. And so even though I've gone through some pretty deep topics here, the overall practice is very simple. Focus and meditate upon God in the external world and within, through the presence that is experienced in the present moment. Be here now. And when thoughts arise, when things trigger you, when you find yourself acting unconsciously, you will continuously wake up more and more in realizing that, oh, wait a minute, I've attached my identity here. I am not that. And you naturally separate yourself from thoughts and experiences by remaining as the non-attached awareness, or simply by observing. And we practice that through sitting alone and doing the typical meditation. Because when we are alone, we can allow thoughts to arise and more easily separate ourselves from them. But when we are going through our daily life, it's easy to get pulled in these different directions and act unconsciously through reaction. That is why it is good to dedicate time specifically for meditation, like the self-improvement gurus tell you. Through this journey, through this practice, you will become more and more liberated, more and more free, more happy, more peaceful, more joyful, and you will be a beacon of light for all those around you, for all those still trapped in darkness, in illusion. And people will see something in you that they want, and they will come to you and ask you, how can I get this? And you can tell them. And the more light is shined through the collective consciousness, through the mind of the collective, the more harmony and love and joy is blessed upon the world. The less unnecessary suffering will manifest. That is how one creates heaven on earth. By allowing God to shine forth through you. By getting out of the way. Remember, the mind is a cutting tool. It's also pointy. Point it in the right direction. Because where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, that is what you give life to.